So every year around this time, I like to do what I call a quarterback ranking list, but I want to do it a little bit differently, and I'll explain how I'm going to do it differently. But first, I want to make sure I give a shout out to the Patreon members down there with the scrolling bar. If you want your name on that bar, make sure you go to patreon.com/worst-take and join the Patreon from there. Also, want to let you guys know that you want to be subscribed and notified. I know I haven't been uploading as much the last 2 weeks. I've had an injury pop up. It's been harder to get videos out just because it's been harder for me to physically move. But now I'm back to a place where I can move, not regularly, but at a good enough pace to be able to get back on the regular grind of videos that I usually do. So make sure you're subscribed and notified so you don't miss out on any of that. We're going to be doing breakdowns, lists, rankings, all that stuff. And there's a special surprise coming hopefully by the end of this week that you're going to want to stay tuned for, because I know a lot of you guys have been asking for it. But as far as this ranking list goes, I don't want to do this like any regular ranking list where I just go 1 to 32, because that's pretty boring, right? Like, those lists are pretty boring. But I'm a fan of playing spades. I don't know if you guys have ever played spades. If you have not played spades, I'm going to tell you how spades works for like a hot second. If you have played spades, skip like 30, 40 seconds in the video. But basically, spades works like this. You throw out a suit. Let it be hearts, diamonds, clubs or spades, right? You throw out a suit, and of hearts, diamonds, and clubs, and I'm sorry if I'm explaining this terribly, those can be beat by other cards of the same suit. So if you throw out a king of clubs and somebody got a 10 of clubs, the king of clubs wins that hand. But let's say you have no more clubs in your hand and you got to throw out something. If you throw out any spade versus a club, it's going to win. That's the basic way to explain spades. If you don't understand the analogy, you don't have to Google it. But I feel like a lot of people in this audience are familiar with playing spades. So this is how I'm going to rank the QBs. Like it's spades. And what do I mean by that? All right, so I'm going to break each category, and the categories are going to be down to a joker, the card that beats everything, the Ace of Spades, which is the king of the field in the game. There's face spades, which are pretty good against anything else but other spades. So those are staples in the elite. There are low spades, which are pretty good against anything but the higher spades, right? They're elite, but they probably need to just prove a couple of more things before you could put them in that upper tier category. There are face aces, which are the king of their suit. So they win against whatever suit that you're up of. Most hands you're going to win with the face ace, but sometimes a spade comes in there, a low spade drops in there and beats it, right? A high face card, which are kings and queens. Those are, you can win it all with those guys if everything goes right. But a spade can come up in there and ruin it. An ace can come up in there and ruin it. So it's not guaranteed, but you can win with these guys. There are jacks, which are, if the hand's right, you can win, but you're going to be nervous when you throw out that jack. And then big pips or big number cards are just, high tier number cards. So, they're not the bottom tier. It's not like you're throwing a 3 out there, but, it's a 10. It might win against some guys, but, it's going to be a pretty nerve-wracking hand. You're going to have to work pretty hard at it. All right, so that is how this list is going to be broken down. Let's start at the top of this list with the Joker card. And who is the Joker? It's going to be Tom Brady. Tom Brady, look, he gets here on reputation alone. He's the GOAT. He's been 7 Super Bowl rings. I mean, what else do I have to say? You play Tom Brady in the fourth quarter, it don't matter who else you got out there, you're nervous, right? Because it's Tom Brady. And look, I know Tom Brady ain't still Tom Brady, but damn, he close enough. So yeah, what more is there to say about Tom Brady? Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time. He's probably the greatest football player of all time. He's the Joker as long as he's still in the league, or unless he proves otherwise that he is no longer capable of being a championship quality quarterback. He's there, right? Off reputation alone. Now, when it comes to the Ace of Spades, this is where Tom Brady's kind of in a league of his own, just because he is like the only undisputed, like not just Hall of Famer, not just first ballot Hall of Famer, but like legend of football. Like Aaron Rodgers is really good, but Aaron Rodgers is not the legend to football that Tom Brady is. So he's kind of in a class of his own. When we're talking about cards that are the king of their field right now, though, Patrick Mahomes. I know people are down on Patrick Mahomes this offseason a little bit, but he's still Patrick Mahomes. The only knock that you can have on Patrick Mahomes is something that's not his fault, which is he hasn't had to play without help in his career. But I don't know. I feel like Patrick Mahomes will be just fine without help. And I think he'll be just fine this year, right? No Tyreek Hill, an older Travis Kelce. He's got Juju, maybe Mecole Hardman. I think he's going to be all right. With that set of weapons. He might even have a better year than he had last year, considering that he had a pretty down year last year. All right, let's go to the face spades, right? When we look at the spades, when we look at who are the king and queens and jacks of the spades, it's Aaron Rodgers and it's Josh Allen. Those are the only two that I'm going to have in this category. Aaron Rodgers is a back-to-back MVP. The only question about Aaron Rodgers you have is for all of his individual greatness, he has faltered in the playoffs more so than you would like. Now, he got the one ring in 2010 that's kind of absolved him from all of this, I don't want to say fraud talk, but, the same kind of talk that Peyton Manning got before he won his ring, the same talk that Drew Brees got before Drew Brees won his ring, Aaron Rodgers has been absolved of because he won his one early. But if you just look at Aaron Rodgers' career and his playoff failures, it's pretty similar to what got those guys flack in the beginning parts of their career. Peyton Manning especially, Drew Brees especially, right? Where people were calling them frauds. Now, that didn't mean that they're not one of the greatest quarterbacks of their era. Definitely, you know what I mean? But it also means that you kind of worry about them in certain situations, right? Aaron Rodgers, he just can't seem to get back over the hump. He's only been to one Super Bowl, right? Which is wild when you think of how long he's been great, right? He's 38 years old. He's been great his entire career. He's been to one Super Bowl. That's a little bit weird. And it's not like he's been on a bad franchise. He's been on the Packers. Again, that's going to be held against Aaron Rodgers, right? Josh Allen, now he hasn't been to a Super Bowl yet. He's, in his fourth year. So pretty soon here, people are going to start to expect Josh Allen to be in the Super Bowl or come close to Super Bowl. He got eliminated in the divisional round this year, the conference championship last year, but both games against the Chiefs. And I don't know. With Josh Allen, I think for a while here, I had him below Lamar Jackson. This season convinced me to put Josh Allen above Lamar Jackson because Josh Allen has progressed so ridiculously as a passer. I think Lamar has progressed quite a bit as a passer. People don't give him credit for it. But what Josh Allen has done in his progression as a passer has been ridiculous. If you look at him year 1 and 2 to what he is now, it's ridiculous how much better of a passer he is, how much more cerebral he is. And that game he had against Patrick Mahomes in the divisional round, amazing. Josh Allen's going to be one of the best quarterbacks. He's going to be a multiple-time MVP by the time his career is over, and he is going to be a staple in that elite category. We're going to be talking about Josh Allen for quite a long time if you're an NFL fan. So those are the face spades. Now let's go to the low spades, right? Who are the low spades? They're elite, but they need one thing. They got a little bit of an asterisk, right? Lamar Jackson is here because he's a former MVP. He puts up tremendous numbers. The Ravens have not been a good team without him. If you look at their record, when they've had Lamar on the roster, without Lamar and with Lamar, it is drastically different, right? Lamar gets hurt. They're 8-3, I believe, when Lamar got hurt last year. He gets hurt. They don't win another game after that. They fall all the way to last place. They were in first place when he was starting. Crazy. Right. If you just look at his record, he clearly makes a difference for the Baltimore Ravens and why they have been a more successful team than they were trending to be when they had Joe Flacco out there on his last leg. And then Joe Burrow is also here as a low spade. And Joe Burrow, if he has another season like he had last year, he'll be in face spades. Same thing with Lamar. If Lamar gets another MVP, he will be a face spade, right? And he will move up in this category. But I need to see Lamar have more success in the playoffs. I need to see Lamar repeat that quality of play that he had in 2019 and 2020. I want to see just one more season of that with Joe Burrow. He's already been to the Super Bowl. The playoff success is not really at his back like it is with Lamar Jackson, but if he has another Super Bowl run or he puts up another tremendous year statistically and makes a reasonably deep playoff run this year, I think that'll be enough to know that Joe Burrow belongs in that category as well, just because of how well he played in some clutch moments last year. You really don't have those concerns about Joe Burrow in the playoffs that you do with Lamar Jackson, but Lamar has done more so far, so that's why I put Lamar over Joe Burrow. Both quarterbacks are excellent. Now let's talk about the face aces, right? These are better than most. They're better than most people that you're going to play. You're going to win most because of this guy, but they're not quite elite yet. They need something else to be elite. Deshaun Watson, and these are guys who put up elite numbers too, by the way. Deshaun Watson, Justin Herbert, Matt Stafford. Now, some of you guys might be mad that I'm not putting Matt Stafford to the moon here. Matt Stafford's where he needs to be. And this is honestly higher than I've had Matt Stafford in the past. I would have never had him over Russell Wilson. But this year, he's much better. He was much better than Russell Wilson. I think he's going to be much better going forward than Russell Wilson, so I'll give him that. Now, the reason they're face aces, right, with Matt Stafford, Matt wasn't going to elevate the Lions to be a perennial playoff contender. But if you put Matt on the right team, he's going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Same thing with Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is really good, but he's not going to elevate the Chargers past anything that roster's not capable of. So if he has 11 and 12, if he has a 11-win roster or a 12-win roster, you're going to win 11 or 12 wins with Justin Herbert. If he has a 9-win roster, you're going to win 9 wins with him. The roster still matters with him, right? With Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, you don't worry about the roster as much because you know that they can definitely elevate people. You've seen it before. With these guys, they're going to put up great numbers. They're going to be really good at the quarterback position, but elevation, that might not be the thing. Deshaun Watson's the same way, right? Really great 2020, but it didn't mean that the Texans became this playoff contender off the strength of his numbers alone, because, you know, he's not necessarily, he's an elevator to a point, but he's not elite in that way, right? Justin Herbert, Matt Stafford, Deshaun Watson, 3 guys who have put up excellent numbers, who can straight ball, but you still want to have a really good team around them because that's how you're going to get the most out of them. They're not necessarily going to elevate a average team to Super Bowl contention like what we saw with Joe Burrow and the Bengals, what we've seen with Lamar Jackson, you know, as far as regular season goes, at least. Lamar has still stuff to prove in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers, we've seen that. Josh Allen, I believe, I don't think that Bills roster's that great. I just think Josh Allen's that good. Patrick Mahomes, you can make the argument that we haven't seen that, but we'll see this year. And his numbers have been so mind-blowing that it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's where I would put these 3 guys. These are better than, hey, you can win with them if everything goes right. No, everything doesn't need to go right, but you do need a good roster, right? Things can go wrong with these guys at the helm, but you do need a good roster, right? You can't just go up there and throw out one of them like early 2010s Patriots rosters out there and think Tom Brady gonna win it all, right? Like that's not the level that these guys are at, but they're really, really good, right? If we go by numeral rankings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Deshaun Watson will be 7. Justin Herbert will be 8. Matt Stafford will be 9. Top 10 quarterbacks. Just at the back end of that, right? This is also franchised here. Like a Ben Roethlisberger was a face ace for most of his career. That's where I would put Watson. So high face cards. So high face cards are kings and queens, but not kings and queens of spades. Dak Prescott would be in this category. And what differentiates this category from face aces is you can win it all. You can win it all. And they're not face aces, by the way. It's just straight up aces that aren't spades. But high face cards are players that you can win it all with. You can definitely win it all with. But everything got to go right. At this point of their career or at this point that they're playing, right? They're not going to carry you to a Super Bowl. They're going to be a part of a Super Bowl championship. They are more than capable, but they're not going to carry you. I mean, that's an important distinction to make. I'll put Dak Prescott here. I will put Russell Wilson here. And I will put Ryan Tannehill here. I think this is fair. At this point of Russ's career, this is where Russ is, right? If Russ is on a great team and things go right, he's going to win a Super Bowl. If Dak's on a great team and things go right, he's going to win a Super Bowl. If Ryan's on a great team and things go right, he's going to lose in the third round or second round. But, he's going to look pretty good doing it, right? And I think Ryan Tannehill might be the most contentious one out here because I have him over some guys that you might like more. But Ryan has put up some pretty elite numbers in the past. He's just Ryan Tannehill, so nobody respects it. The next category goes to jacks. Jacks are guys that you can win a hand with. But boy, when you throw that, if you've ever played spades, when you throw that jack out, you better be sure that you've seen them other cards come off before you throw that jack, right? You don't just haphazardly throw a jack out. You consider the circumstances around you when you throw the jack out, right? We all know it. We've all had that partner in spades that throws jacks out willy-nilly and then gets it beaten, and then you waste the book, right? We've all seen it. We've all cussed somebody out over it, but these are the jacks, right? They're good enough to win a hand, but they're also bad enough to piss you off. These are jacks. Kyler Murray, Derek Carr, Mac Jones, Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan. All 5 quarterbacks who I believe are good, better than most other starting quarterbacks, guys that you kind of have to keep because they're good. But they are also limited in a way that's frustrating as hell, right? Kyler Murray, he's limited physically because he's just small. And I mean, small limits him physically just because he can get hurt more often. And he has to leave the pocket so much, right? We talk about Baker Mayfield being small at 6'1". Kyler Murray's like 5'10", maybe. He's really 5'9", but he's 5'10". Derek Carr is limited because he doesn't make aggressive decision makes. He's not aggressive with decision making, right? He throws too many checkdowns. And then when he does get aggressive, his decision making can be questionable at times. Everything else is there with him, but, the decision-making isn't there. Mac Jones is here because, he's limited as just a passer, right? Well, not as a passer. I would say he's pretty accurate, but he doesn't have any of those wow characteristics that you want from a quarterback. Same thing with Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan at this point of his career. He's also in this category because I think he's declined significantly to what people remember Matt Ryan being. But yeah, that's who I would have. Now we have our big pips. Big pips are high numeral cards. They're not quite franchise. They're not necessarily great enough to where you have to keep them when their contract's up, right? Like the contract negotiation is not a formality with these dudes, but they're better than what you could get. Baker Mayfield's on this. Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz, Trevor Lawrence, Jameis Winston, Jared Goff, Tua Tagovailoa, and the last quarterback on the big pips is Jimmy G. Baker Mayfield, look, if things go right, he's not necessarily a franchise guy, but he's good enough to have hope that you can have a good year with. He can make the playoffs with them. It's just things got to go right. Same thing with Jalen Hurts. Carson Wentz, man, things can't go right with Carson Wentz, but then Carson Wentz makes things go wrong. Same thing can be said about Baker Mayfield as well. Trevor Lawrence, don't know much about him. He's kind of a wait and see guy, so I put him in this category. Jameis Winston, again, you can have hope with Jameis, but you also know that it's not going to be on the most solid ground. Jared Goff, similarly, same way. Tua, we'll see. We'll see. I think he can fall out this category by the end of this season. And Jimmy G, look, everything I've said about Jimmy G, I don't think Jimmy G's that good of a quarterback. I think he's worse than Baker Mayfield, but he has been successful. So you can't just say he's cannon fodder, right? And that's going to bring us to the last category, cannon fodder. Who are the quarterbacks that you just be throwing out there, right? And you about to lose. You know that this hand is not good enough to win with. So you just throw out whatever trash card you could throw out at that time so you can move on to the next hand, right? That is what cannon fodder is. Now, some of these guys are young players that are not proven but have not shown that much promise, so they could move out of this category. That's Justin Fields and Zach Wilson. And then other guys are mainstays, right? Mitchell Trubisky, he ain't going nowhere. Marcus Mariota, he ain't going nowhere more than likely. Daniel Jones, Davis Mills, Drew Lock. Now, quarterback play has gotten much better because we went, 22 deep before we could find an unsuitable starter? That's pretty good. But That's what the situation is. Those are my rankings. Let me know how you would rank your quarterback list if this were a game of spades. Let me know in the comment section below. Y'all have a great day. Have a good night.